Well, hey, you booktube. Welcome back to the History Shelf. My name is Peg, and thanks for joining me today. We have another episode of New History on the horizon. It seems like it's just yesterday that I filmed my last one, but it's been a month. It's been 4 weeks since my last episode. And I definitely have a stack of new history that has come in. So we're going to go over the books that are, I'll go over the finished copies that I have now. And I'll go over the ones that are currently out. Okay, and then we'll go into the coming soon. So let's do that. Let's start with this one because I've been waiting for this one for a while. And I know my friend across the pond, I think either Lawrence, you've had this book, or you've been waiting for it too, but guess what? I got my hands on it. This is new. It came out, I think, when did it come out? A couple weeks ago, maybe a month. But I've been waiting for it for a long time. And this is Zhao Enlai, Life, Zhao Enlai. I could get that right, could I? Yeah. Zhao Enlai, A Life, by Chen Zhan. I think that's how you pronounce it. And it's put out by Belknap Harvard University Press. Tons of blurbs on the back. From just a lot of people I recognize, and so that's awesome. But yes, nice, big, meaty, beefy bio on Zhao Enlai. And I'm very, very excited. This is a very beautiful book, too. Let's go over it, shall we? Zhao Enlai spent 27 years as Premier of the People's Republic of China and 10 as its foreign minister. He was the architect of the country's administrative apparatus and its relationship to the world, as well as its legendary spy master. Richard Nixon proclaimed him the greatest statesman of our era. Yet Zhao has always been overshadowed by Chairman Mao. Chen Zhan brings Zhao into the light, offering a nuanced portrait of his complex life as a revolutionary, a master diplomat, and a man with his own vision and aspirations who did much to make China, as well as the larger world, what it is today. Born to a declining Mandarin family in 1898, Zhao received a classical education and as a teenager spent time in Japan. As a young man, driven by the desire for China's development, Zhao embraced the Communist Revolution as a vehicle of China's salvation. He helped Mao govern through a series of transformations, including the disastrous Great Leap Forward and Cultural Revolution. Yet, as Chen shows, Zhao was never a committed Maoist. His extraordinary political and bureaucratic skill, combined with his centrist approaches, enabled him to mitigate the enormous damage caused by Mao's radicalism. When Zhao died in 1976, the PRC that we know of was not yet visible on the horizon. He never saw a glistening 21st century Shanghai or the broader emergence of Chinese capitalism. But it was Zhao's work that shaped the nation, whose influence and power are today felt in every corner of the globe. So yeah, this is a very important biography. It's very important to know about this very important player in China's political history. So I'm looking forward to learning more. I know I've read tangentially about Zhao Enlai, but I've never read a full-on biography. So I'm really looking forward to this. By Chen Zhan. Let's see here. This book is like over 800 pages. So I'm looking forward to it. But this is brand new, guys, so I know a lot of you have been kind of looking at it and waiting for it to happen and waiting for it to come, and now it's here. Zhao Enlai, A Life. What was I doing? Sorry, okay, here are the finished ones. And then this book, did this come out, I think, just very recently, and that's why I got a review copy? Yes, Came out, I think, just late last year, so I'm just now seeing this. But this is from Lyons Press, and we're going to move to World War II history now. And this is Massacre at Oradour-sur-Glane. Nazi gold and the murder of an entire French town by SS Division Das Reich by Vincent de Paul Lupiano. Wow. Yeah, so from Lyons Press. So and there's some imagery in the back here that it's pretty slim volume, but I had never heard of this event, so I wanted to check this out. The massacre at Oradour-sur-Glane, France, on June 10th, 1944, is recognized with the same profundity as the attacks on Pearl Harbor and the Twin Towers. Each year, the destroyed village attracts over 300,000 visitors from around the world. The village stands today as it did the minute the massacre concluded. On June 8, 1944, 15,000 men and their tanks rolled out of Montauban in southern France and terminated at Normandy 2 weeks later. Das Reich surrounded Oradour-sur-Glane, massacred 642 people, and razed the village to cover up the real reason for the massacre. Das Reich and the massacre became one of the most dreadful legends in the history of France in World War II. The massacre was about gold ingots stolen by Das Reich and then snatched from Das Reich during its march to Normandy by the French resistance. SS Sturmbannführer Otto Deichmann, I guess, falsely believed the gold stolen from Das Reich had been secreted in Oradour. Until now, it was generally believed that it was German brutality that provoked the massacre. But little has been known about the real reason 642 people were slaughtered. Because he could not find the gold in Oradour, Deichmann saw his retirement funds disappear in order to cover up the murder of 642 people. This book tracks the gold's supposed journey from 1944 to 1982 and its tragic intersection with a quaint village in southern France. Wow. Yeah, I had never heard of the story, so I'm wanting to check this out. But if that, he had to cover up. I guess, yeah, I need to read this because I'm not understanding. He had to kill the whole town because they were going to steal the ingots, and everyone there knew it. I'm not sure, but anyway, not too thick of a read, but I'm interested and I wanted to check it out. Oh, gosh! I almost spilled my tea, and that would have been a tragedy. My London Fog tea, so delicious. All right, this book I'm very excited to read. As soon as I heard that this was coming out, I was like, I've got to get on top of this. This is out now, and this is, and needs no introduction. This is Knife by Salman Rushdie. Meditations after an attempted murder. Yep. He is right back at it. This guy's got no fear. I love it. This is, I should say, put out by Random House. So in this slim volume, Knife, let me tell you what we're going to get from this one. On the morning of August 12th, 2022, Salman Rushdie was standing on stage at the Chautauqua Institution preparing to give a lecture on the importance of keeping writers safe from harm, when a man wearing black clothes and a black mask rushed down the aisle toward him wielding a knife. His first thought, so it's you. Here you are. What followed was a horrific act of violence that shook the literary world and beyond. Now, for the first time and in unforgettable detail, Rushdie relives the traumatic events of that day and its aftermath, as well as his journey toward physical recovery and the healing that was made possible by the love and support of his wife, Eliza, his family, his army of doctors and physical therapists, and his community of readers worldwide. Knife is Rushdie at the peak of his powers, writing with urgency, with gravity, with unflinching honesty. It is also a deeply moving reminder of literature's capacity to make sense of the unthinkable, an intimate and life-affirming meditation on life, loss, love, art and finding the strength to stand up again. And he did stand up again. He lost his eye, but he did not lose his clarity of vision. And he will continue to write. So that person failed, and whatever it was they were trying to do, you failed. You failed. So I applaud this man's just courage. He keeps going out there. Knife by Salman Rushdie. Out now. Random House. Okay. Two more books that are kind of fall into the, I guess, the essay category, but I wanted to include them because I got review copies, and one is brand new, and then one I think just came out before it, but I was able to get both, which I love because I have collections of this writer's essays. I love his essays. I follow him in a lot of the magazines, current political magazines that I subscribe to, like Commentary, but he's written in and been published in First Things, New Criterion, Washington, what am I looking at? The Washington, Wall Street Journal. Thank you. Other places. But I just love his essays. But he has a new book out, so I wanted to share that with you. And I think this one is actually it's an autobiography. So I have an autobiography and then a new collection of essays from the great and wonderful Joseph Epstein. And not that Joseph Epstein, okay. This is Never Say You've Had a Lucky Life, especially if you've had a lucky life, by Joseph Epstein. And here's the writer I'm talking about, just so you don't have any... Yeah, let me just... Yeah, look at all the places he's written. New Yorker, Commentary, New Criterion, TLS, Claremont Review of Books, New York Review of Books. He's been everywhere. And he's got a tricycle. So you know he's a fun guy. Yeah, love this guy's writing. Just eat it up. So I'd love to read a book about his life here. So, oh, and this is from Simon & Schuster. And I believe that's out right now. It should be out right now. I'll double check on these for you. But it says, an autobiography usually requires a justification. The great autobiographies, those by Benvenuto Cellini, or Cellini, I don't know, Jean-Jacques Rousseau, Benjamin Franklin, and Henry Adams, were justified by their authors living in interesting times, harboring radically new ideas, or participating in great events. Joseph Epstein qualifies on none of these counts. His life has been quiet, lucky in numerous ways, and far from dramatic, but it has also been emblematic of the great changes in our country since World War II. Epstein grew up in petty bourgeois Midwestern milieu, and he drew a lucky ticket in the parent lottery. His was a happy boyhood spent on playgrounds and hanging around drugstores. At high school dances, this sounds so quaint. At high school dances, he was the rumba king, and at drive-in movies, he was never allowed to go as far with girls as he so ardently desired. At 26, after 2 years in the Army, he found himself married, a father of 4 children, and living in New York on the meager salary of a magazine sub-editor. A sub-editor. Well, that means you're eating hot dogs every night. He was ablaze with ambition and fettered by frustration. He broke out by moving to Little Rock, Arkansas, to direct the city's anti-poverty program at the height of the civil rights movement. His writing career blossomed, he began teaching, and for 25 years he edited one of our great intellectual magazines. Never Say You've Had a Lucky Life is an intimate look at an era steeped in radical change, from a traditionally moral culture to a therapeutic one, from an era when the extended family was strong to its current diminished status, from a world of print and paper to our digital lives. But for all the seriousness of Epstein's themes, this book is memorable for its comic point of view and the constant reminder of how unpredictable, various, and wondrously rich life can be. So this just sounds like an excellent read. Something I could use right about now. So very excited about this new release, Never Say You've Had a Lucky Life, by Joseph Epstein. Now, and this is, from, it says Simon & Schuster, but the imprint is Free Press. So this is from the Free Press, which also just released the paperback version. Or actually, this is Simon & Schuster now, of his literary collection. And this is his brand new literary collection, which I'm so happy to have. Familiarity Breeds Content. Isn't that a great title? Or in this sense, it means familiarity breeds content, which is genius. It works on two levels. New and selected essays, and here's another great picture of Joseph Epstein right there. It's got a new with a foreword by Christopher Buckley. If you haven't read any of Joseph Epstein's articles or works, you could always start off by just pick up a new Criterion or a commentary magazine at the newsstand, kind of flip through and look to see. They usually commentary every month usually has at least one essay by Joseph Epstein, and they're usually really good, whether it's on books, art, history, current culture. He's just great. So I have a couple of his other collections out in the other room. But yeah, I could just sit and watch and read his articles all day long. I have a backlog of magazines I've got to catch up on. And at this point, some of the current event stuff is old, but I haven't thrown them out or recycled. No, throw them out. I would recycle. I haven't recycled them because I know that they have Epstein articles in there, like Joseph Epstein. And so, along with some of my other favorite writers, so I do like to go back through my my current event magazines and make sure I read the articles in there that I really want, and then I can move on to recycling them. But anyway, it doesn't really have much to say about it here that I can see. It's just a collection out. This is out right now. Is this, who wrote okay, so the foreword is Christopher Buckley. Well, he just kind of gives an overview of what's going to be in this. We've got a selection of things from, oh gosh, there's a ton of stuff in here. Here, I'll just show you the, there you go. Anyway, he's a great writer. I enjoy his content. So now he has an autobiography out along with his new and selected essays, and I couldn't be more thrilled. Autobiography out from the Free Press, and then Familiarity Breeds Content from Simon & Schuster. Yay! Okay, now we go into some June books, baby. Because I'm trying to stage these so that I'm coming at you the month before some June releases. Okay, so let's do it. We got 18 minutes here. Oh wait, there was one more I wanted to show you. That is it's a new edition. I already own this in the Library of America hardcover slipcase edition, but I wanted a reader copy. And I saw this from Mariner Classics. They just came out with this brand new edition, 3-in-1, and I thought you guys should know about this, so I got a copy to show you. This is the Complete USA Trilogy by John Dos Passos, and look at this, a beautiful trade paperback edition. Just falls flat, falls easy. This is the kind of reading copy that I'm talking about for a book like this, this trilogy. Isn't this beautiful? This is the Mariner Classics. This is brand new. They've just re-released this in this Mariner Classics version. So I wanted you guys to know, in case you were also interested in getting a nice, beefy, soft-cover trade paperback copy like this. It says here, a new edition collects the 3 volumes of John Dos Passos' acclaimed USA trilogy, named one of the best books of the 20th century by the Modern Library. And this contains the 42nd parallel, 1919 in the Big Money. Yeah, so I kind of want to get lost in some big rambling trilogy story this summer. I'm looking forward to buying some patio furniture very soon, and I'm going to be out there with a glass of cold lemonade in the shade on my patio couch or whatever it's going to be, and I'm going to be reading, baby. All right, so I wanted you to see this brand new edition. Like I said, I already own this in the Library of America, but I wanted a nice reader edition. So that works. Okay, now I promise. Now we're moving into stuff that is not out yet. Promise. Okay, so let's see here. This book comes out June 18th. And I thought I had the pub sheet with me. I don't. This is Night Flyer. Harriet Tubman and the... Let me just hold that. Harriet Tubman and the Faith Dreams of a Free People by Tia Miles. All right. This is put out by Penguin Press. It's coming out June 18th. It says here, Harriet Tubman is, if surveys are to be trusted, one of the 10 most famous Americans ever born, and soon to be the face of the $20 bill. Yet often she's a figure more out of myth than history, almost a comic book superhero. The woman who, despite being barely 5 feet tall, illiterate, and suffering from a brain injury, managed to escape from her own enslavement, return again and again to lead others north to freedom without loss of life, speak out powerfully against slavery, and then become the first American woman in history to lead a military raid, freeing some 750 people. You could almost say she's America's Robin Hood, a miraculous vision, often rightly celebrated but seldom understood. And I don't say recently, but a few months ago, I read a massive new book about Harriet Tubman called Combee, and it was about that military raid. So that was really, I highly recommend it. And Combee was written by Etta Fields Black, historian. Tia Miles's extraordinary Night Flyer changes all that. With her characteristic tenderness and imaginative genius, Miles explores beyond the stock historical grid to weave Tubman's life into the fabric of her world. She probes the ecological reality of Tubman's surroundings and examines her kinship with other enslaved women who similarly passed through a spiritual wilderness and recorded those travels in profound and moving memoirs. What emerges uncannily is a human being whose mysticism becomes the more palpable the more we understand it, a story that offers us powerful inspiration for our own time of troubles. Harriet Tubman traversed many boundaries, inner and outer. Now, thanks to Tia Miles, she becomes an even clearer and sharper signal from the past, one that can help us to echolocate. That's a great word to use for marketing copy. Echolocate. A more just and sustainable path. So, Harriet Tubman and the Faith Dreams of a Free People. All right, I'll check this out. I feel like, I've gotten quite a bit of insight into Harriet Tubman and like that last book I read. But I'd be willing to see what her spin on this one is. So, shouldn't be too big of a read. There's got big, I know this is an arc, but it's not too dense. Again, so this book, Night Flyer by Tia Miles, this is coming out June 18th from Penguin Press. Check her out. The next book I wanted to tell you about, which looks really good, and I'm taking the week off of my birthday, which is the last week of June. And I'm excited because I'm going to be doing some different things, but relaxing is on Peggy's docket and reading. And there's so many things that I can't wait to just dip my toes into and get going on. So this book is coming out June 25th from Viking. And this is My Roman History, a memoir by Eliza Holstein. My Roman History. You see that cover. Again, this is an arc, but I imagine that might be the cover. What did I do with my... losing all my pub sheets. Okay, it turns out Eliza Holstein is a medieval historian. So let's start from there. From the time she first felt called to its gates as a high school student, fascinated by Dante in Italy thanks to a life-changing teacher, Rome has been a fixed star around which Eliza Holstein's life has rotated. In this kaleidoscopic yet intimate memoir, her shifting relationship to a vibrant place layered with human history becomes a lens on why we look to the past, on the mysteries of affinity and desire, and on what it means to grow up, weaving the stories of Romans through the ages with her own trail of memories, such as like that first taste of a tartufo cioccolato in Piazza Navona, the ancient walls of the Via Appia blurring from the back of a motorcycle, the smudge of ink on a manuscript left by a scribe's hand over 700 years before. She explores how we find solace and self-knowledge in the presence of the past. My Roman history is a profound depiction of the winding path to self-realization, which, much like history itself, is mysterious, captivating, and ever-evolving. I would say that's true, indeed. Again, I like memoirs, and this one's kind of different for me. I've never really heard of this woman, but I like discovering this new writers, new experiences that people have lived. Yeah, I'm all for it. So, My Roman History by Eliza Holstein, June 25th from Viking. I'm not sure if I showed you this book or not in one of my last... I think I might have shown this to you in my last new History on the Horizon, I think. But if I didn't, here it is, and I'll show it to you again. Love this World War II historian's work. Still waiting on that third volume of his projected 3-volume history of World War II. But James Holland keeps cranking out books. And so this one is coming out June 11th from Grove Atlantic. Now, from what I understand, this is already over in the UK. This book is by another name, I think, and this is an American reissue of this work. But it's not something that hasn't been published before ever. So, yeah, Grove Atlantic is issuing this on June 11th. James Holland's Burma 44, The Battle That Turned World War II in the East, which I'm excited to read because of that recent book I finished reading, Skies of Thunder by Carolyn Alexander, which I believe is out right now, about the mission flying over the top of the world, supplying China in World War II, flying over the Himalayas. They had included so much about the Burma 44 campaign, so this is going to fill in a lot of additional detail, and pretty soon I'll be an expert about the Burma theater if I keep reading books coming across my desk like this. Wonderfully, obviously, richly, he's got all the maps. Don't you, James? Look at this guy. Ooh. Wow. He does not mess around. So let me just tell you about this. In February 1944, in one of the most astonishing battles of World War II, actually I can hold this up, a ragtag collection of British clerks, drivers, doctors, muleteers, and other base troops, stiffened by a few dogged Yorkshiremen and a handful of tank crews, managed to defeat a much larger and sophisticated contingent of some of the finest infantry in the Japanese army on their march towards India. What became known as the Battle of the Admin Box, fought amongst the paddy fields and jungle of northern Arakan over a 15-day period, turned the battle for Burma. Not only was it the first decisive victory for British troops against the Japanese, more significantly, it demonstrated how the Japanese could be defeated. Lessons learned in this tiny and otherwise insignificant corner of the Far East set up the campaign in Burma that would follow as General William Slim's 14th Army finally turned defeat into victory. In Burma 44, acclaimed World War II historian Holland offers a dramatic tale of victory against incredible odds. As momentous as the Battle of the Bulge 10 months later, the Admin Box never heard of that, was a triumph of human grit and heroism and remains one of the most significant yet undervalued conflicts of the entire war. In Holland's hands, it is finally given its proper place in the history of the war. So, it seems like this was a keyhole history for the UK back when he wrote it. The Battle of the Admin Box does not jump to the top of mind of American World War II students. So, but still in all, this is like a new chapter I've never read about that theater. So, just so all of you know, big James Holland fans out there, June 11th, coming out. All right. Take another sip. I've got Daisy keeping me company. Taking a little breather in between books. Yeah, we've got a raised bed back there for right now because we took Boomer had to go in for surgery yesterday to remove he had some lumpy growths on him. So far everything looks fine. They were removed, but he's got big incisions on his back. He had a big bump on his butt that was removed and one on his chest and his shoulder. So poor baby boy, he's just feeling sorry for himself. We're giving him his pain meds. But we tried to give him a sturdier base bed right here, but he's in the other room. He's in the office with Martine. So he goes where he wants to go. That one's in the end of July. All right, so let's continue on. This book, I thought this one is kind of interesting. It is different. In the what it's saying is different from what we're hearing everywhere else. Anyway, this came out. No, it hasn't come out, but it will come out in June. It's not giving me the date yet, but this is from Liveright or Liverwrite. It's a small little volume. It's called White Poverty: How Exposing Myths About Race and Class Can Reconstruct American Democracy, by Reverend Dr. William J. Barber II and Jonathan Wilson Hartgrove. So this, very slim volume, 250 pages. And this is the arc of this. So let me just read this to you real quick. An explosive work with far-ranging historical implications, White Poverty promises to be one of the most influential books of the 2024 election cycle. That's a big promise to make, wouldn't you say? All right, when most Americans think of poverty, well, this is a very general statement. Like, how would you can't even prove that. When most Americans think of poverty, they imagine black faces. As a teenager, Reverend William J. Barber II recalls seeing black mothers interviewed on television whenever there was a story on food stamps or unemployment. Poverty, then as now, was depicted as an essentially black problem. In a work that promises to have lasting repercussions, Barber, now a leading advocate for the rights of our nation's poor and the, quote, closest person we have to Dr. King, end quote, and that quote was from Cornel West, just so you know. Oh, would you just focus? There's Cornel West right there. Addresses white poverty as a hugely neglected subject that might just be the key to mitigating racism and bringing together the tens of millions working class and impoverished whites with low-income blacks. Recognizing that angry social media posts have replaced food, education, and housing as a salve for the white poor, Barber contends that the millions of America's lowest income earners have much in common, and together with Jonathan Wilson Hartgrove provides one of the most sympathetic and visionary approaches to endemic poverty in decades. All right. So I'm intrigued. Sometimes I like to read these type of policy books and stuff, and it's a very compelling topic. Yeah, I think I'm gonna be reading this real soon because it sounds really, really informative. facing poverty. I mean, these are, you know, I want to kind of, I don't know what I'm thinking on this one, but I'm thinking too that I'd like, yeah, what can we do to stop poverty? So let's end poverty. Although you could be just whistling Dixie in the wind with that. Whistling Dixie was really not an apt. That wasn't a very PC thing, but we're going to leave that on there just because, you know, not many people watch my channel. And what I'm trying to say is you'd be spitting in the wind if you think you can eradicate poverty. You should definitely you should give to charity. You should help your neighbor. You should donate food. You should donate your clothes. You should do all these things. And I do. We all do. At differing times in our lives. What I'm trying to get at is, I just think back to what Jesus said in the New Testament. You know, the poor you will always have with you. So it's a problem we'll always have, and I think it's there for us to remind us that we're human and that we need to help each other. You know, and to be the Good Samaritan or whatever, just to be the person who is helping. So anyway, this sounds like a really good book. People of all races suffer from poverty, so let's just get it together, everybody. Okay, so there's my spiel for that book. I'm going to try to find you the publication date on that. So White Poverty is going to be June 11th. Okay, we got another June 11th here. Kind of keeping the moving the keyboard so I have more room. That's not what I wanted. You guys are catching me while I'm doing things here. Catching me while I'm trying to look things up for you. So June 11th, White Poverty. All right, and then this next book, we're at 37 minutes. It looks like I could possibly be reviewing this in the future for Book Browse, but we shall see. This is exciting because this is written by the woman who I am still trying to finish reading the first book in my Historathon quarter for ancient history. I picked one of her books for Historathon 2024 for the first quarter, from 500 to 1500. No. Prehistory to 500, which was The Shadow of Vesuvius, A Life of Pliny. Well, guess what? Daisy Dunn she's got a new book coming out. Oh, no, we're jumping ahead a little bit, but oh well, this was at the end of July. But I got the ARC, and I'm pretty stoked by this because I'm still trying to get finished with her other book. So it's kind of fun to think that I'll be reading 2 books by her this year that I can write about and speak about. But anyway, coming July 30th from Daisy Dunn, we have The Missing Thread, A Women's History of the Ancient World. Just trying to make sure you got the light on it. And this is going to come out from Viking. So July 30th. It's a dazzlingly ambitious history of the ancient world that places women at the center, from Cleopatra to Boudica, Sappho to Fulvia, and countless other artists, writers, leaders, and creators of history. Around 4,000 years ago, the mysterious Minoans sculpted statues of topless women with snakes slithering on their arms. More than 1,000 years later, Sappho wrote great poems of longing and desire. For classicist Daisy Dunn, these women, whether they were simply sitting at their looms at home or participating in the highest echelons of power, were up to something much more interesting than other histories would lead us to believe. Together, these women helped to make antiquity as we know it. In this monumental work, Dunn reconceives our understanding of the ancient world by emphasizing women's roles within it. The Missing Thread never relegates women to the sidelines and is populated with well-known names such as Cleopatra and Agrippina, as well as the likes of I've always struggled with that word. Achaemenid. Achaemenid consort Atossa and Olympias, a force in Macedon. Spanning 3,000 years, the story moves from Minoan Crete to Mycenaean Greece, from Lesbos to Asia Minor, from the Persian Empire to the royal court of Macedonia. It concludes with Rome and its growing empire. The women of antiquity are undeniably woven throughout the fabric of history, and the missing thread, they finally take center stage. Fantastic. Oh, about 380 pages without all the endnotes and stuff. So this is looking good. She's got the Julio-Claudian family tree here. We've got our maps. We've got the House of Macedon. Yes, so Daisy Dunn, brand new book coming out on July 30th. So that is great news. Viking Books is putting that one out. All right. Switching back to June releases again real quick. So we're going to end on these two. And these are books that I'm going to be using. I'll be showing them again on this channel because these are brand new releases about D-Day. Now, I have an announcement video coming out on the Memorial Day weekend this weekend, announcing that this channel, The History Shelf, is going to be recognizing and just spending the month of June talking about, promoting, reading from, talking about books, movies about D-Day. We're celebrating the 80th anniversary of D-Day, basically, for the whole month of June, because it is the 80th anniversary of D-Day this June. And June 6th, obviously. But the whole month, I just want to, what I'm trying to do is encourage people to learn about D-Day, to read a book, at least one book, you know. Preferably history, but, you know, we can move into historical fiction for sure. But anyway, Bill Rutenberg at the Rutenberg Library, we are going to read a book together throughout the month of June on D-Day, a fairly well-known book on that, and then we will do a book chat on that at the end of the month, just to maybe reflect back on our readings and studies. But anyway, these two books are brand new releases, obviously perfectly timed and intentionally timed for the upcoming 80th anniversary. I also have a special interview that will be coming out that month with a certain someone. I got another author interview coming, so it's going to be pretty exciting. Anyway, so let's get into this. This one is from another book from Mariner. We've talked about Mariner before. So this book comes out June 4th. And this is The Light of Battle, Eisenhower, D-Day, and the Birth of the American Superpower by Michael Parody. And that's my proof. There you go. I'll hold this up here. Look at Ike. So fierce. Love it. This year marks the 80th anniversary of D-Day, the largest amphibious invasion in history, the turning point of World War II, and a decisive moment in America's rise as a global superpower. In his penetrating new biography, The Light of Battle, Michael Parody uncovers the surprisingly neglected story of Dwight Eisenhower and his path from the humble plains of Abilene to the war-scorched beaches of Normandy. Through meticulous research and drawing upon a voluminous body of newly discovered archival material, Eisenhower comes vividly alive as a complicated man who craves simplicity and who learned to navigate the buffeting cross-currents of diplomacy, duty, family, and fame to become a modern George Washington. Let's see here. Let's see. Okay, with there's a lot going on this pub sheet, so with a page-turning pace and eye for the overlooked, Parody interweaves the grand arc of history with more human concerns, bringing readers into the private moments that led to Eisenhower's most pivotal decisions. He reveals how Eisenhower's rise both reflected and was integral to America's rise as a global superpower. Oh, it's fantastic. So, The Light of Battle breathes new life into the man who made the leader of the free world the mantle of the American presidency. Oh, who doesn't love a good biography on Ike? I do like Ike. We all like Ike. I think one of my favorite biographies on him was by Jean Edward Smith. But I am definitely going to enjoy tapping into this one over the month of June. It's just an act of remembrance and remembering all these great leaders and the people who gave it all. Leaders who lived and died. Yeah, so month of June. Stay tuned for more programming. Hit the little icon, the bell, whatever doohickey that is. And then I'll let you know when I have new stuff up announcing D-Day, 80th anniversary D-Day in June. So The Light of Battle by Michael Parody, coming from Mariner Books on June 4th. And then a wonderful, this is like for the historian. I mean, what a reference work here. This is coming out, again, June 4th, from Avid Reader Press, though. And this is When the Sea Came Alive, an Oral History of D-Day. It's a great cover. I'm trying to get that glare off of here. And anyway, but this is by Garrett M. Graff. Okay, When the Sea Came Alive, an Oral History of D-Day. So another book I will be definitely tapping into. Okay, let's see here. Obviously, D-Day is one of history's greatest and most unbelievable military and human triumphs. Though the full campaign lasted just over a month, the surprise landing of over 150,000 Allied troops on the morning of June 6, 1944, is understood to be the moment that turned the tide for the Allied forces and ultimately led to the defeat of the Axis powers in World War II. Now, a new book from best-selling author and historian Garrett M. Graff explores the full impact of this world-changing event, from the secret creation of landing plans by top government and military officials and organization of troops to the moment the boat doors opened to reveal the beach where men fought for their lives and the future of the free world. So what I said about this being a great resource is the way it is broken up. It's broken up in between the viewpoints of the people involved. So let's say say you're going into, okay, let's start with the first one, whatever. Like the groundwork for the Allied invasion. Okay, so this is 1943. Normandy gave us the greatest hope, and then it switches. As you can see, then it goes from person to person and what they were doing, and what their viewpoint was, I think. These might be the memories of these people. Yeah, this would be the take that each person had on this, whatever the topic is for that chapter. Into the sausages, which were the tents that and the camps that they were the troops who were getting ready for the invasion. That's what those camps were called, sausages, for some weird reason. And as you can see, again, it goes from person to person. So it's not, you're kind of always moving from viewpoint to viewpoint, but it's different. And I think it's just a really useful, an easy way to kind of like look up information, but also this really keeps your attention as you kind of, you're not getting bogged down in all the logistical jargon. You're fast moving from viewpoint to viewpoint. So Garrett M. Graff, and I have his other book, which was on the Watergate, I believe. Did he do the Watergate one? Yes, he did. I have that one on my shelf behind me there. So yeah, When the Sea Came Alive, an Oral History of D-Day, coming out June 4th from Avid Reader Press. So these two books, you'll see these again with my It's, D-Day all June on this channel. So, but more to come on that announcement. But there you have it, everybody. There's the latest and greatest, mostly the books that are out now or releasing next month, with one coming out at the end of July. Daisy Dunn's The Missing Thread. But let me know what you thought about these new books. It's another 50-minute banger on this channel. I don't stint. I don't stint. All right, guys, let me know how you're doing out there, what you're reading, how you feeling. And until next time, hit the like button, hit subscribe, and hit that little notification bell. Because I am excited for what's coming in June. So, all right, until next time, everybody, thanks for joining me here on the History Shelf for another episode of New History on the Horizon. We'll have more. There's always more on the horizon. Take care. Bye.